Welcome to Insight. I am your host, Bel Hernandez Castillo, coming to you from our Los Angeles studio on the Sunset Strip. Insight by Bel gives you a look into the vibrant world of entertainment. And here in LA, we are all 1 degree of separation to someone who knows someone in the film and television industry. We also interview image makers, talent, the power brokers, and those who create the visual adventures we all watch. Our guest for today is Mark Aragon, who has worked over 20 years behind the camera. His current gig is on Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. We will talk to him about his passion for his work and the lowrider car community.
They've got to be onto something. We can't be the only ones left out.
To save a piece of Hispanic heritage for the next generation.
My first instinct is I look over at my daughter and see how proud she is. She's gonna hold that torch one day. She's gonna be the one with her kids in the car. Don't judge us by how we look or what our past is. We're just trying to spread the love and inform and educate, and that's the best thing we can do. Keep riding, slow and low.
Lowriding is mostly popular with Chicanos and Latinos, but they are trying to expand it to everybody.
But first, some lowrider car insight. According to Wikipedia, the lowrider car culture began in Los Angeles, California in the mid to late 1940s, and it grew during the post-war prosperity of the 1950s within the Mexican-American youth culture. During the Chicano movement in the 1970s, people formed car clubs in order to help their communities by using the cars for fundraising. Lowrider also refers to the driver of the car and their participation in lowrider car clubs, which remain a part of the Chicano culture and have expanded internationally. For example, in Japan, lowriders were introduced back in 2001. It is estimated that there are still 200 car clubs related to the lowrider scene that are active to this day. Next up, my interview with Mark Aragon, who has lived and documented the lowriding life for many years and displays it on his YouTube channel, Lowriding TV. So don't go away. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back. Mark Aragon grew up in Boyle Heights, a mostly Mexican-American section of Los Angeles. In addition to his love for movies, he also has a passion for the lowrider culture that has continued to this day, even as he continues his day job. Lowriding isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle for him. Let's check it out in his interview. Hi, Mark. Welcome to Insight.
Thank you very much, Bel. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's get started. I'm so excited because you are a guru around lowriding, the lowriding culture, but I want to get some information on you first because
Sure.
You have worked in the entertainment industry for over 30 years. And you've worked on sitcoms like Friends, Major Dad, that 70s show, School of Rock, and so many others. But you're not an actor.
I'm a sound guy. I'm a sound guy.
You are one of the persons that works behind the camera
Correct.
To make everything happen, because if there is no crew, there is no show. So tell me some of the crew positions that you've done on these shows.
Sure.
What they are.
Yeah, for Major Dad and Becker and other shows that started up as sound recordist, where we had reel-to-reel machines, and then things evolved into digital machines. So DAT, digital audio tape. And then I worked from recordist to sound utility in different shows, a lot of Nickelodeon and Disney shows like Jessie, Liv and Maddie, all the folks that have grandkids know all these shows, Austin and Ally. What else? Wizards of Waverly Place. I was not on that, but I'm on a reboot right now. And then I finally moved up to boom operator, where you actually work a Fisher perambulator, where you follow the talent with a 23 or 26 foot arm that cues and goes in and out, up and down. So, and it actually is on hydraulics as well. So that's very comfortable for me to have hydraulics under me to be able to do my job.
You know, people think that it's just acting in Hollywood, but these are the jobs that are very essential. And also, these are union jobs. So you've been
Correct.
working yourself up through the union, correct?
Yes, exactly.
How did you get into doing this business? Because even though Hollywood, LA's in Hollywood,
Right.
there's only a few portion of the population that ever gets into the entertainment industry.
Well, it started with a rock station, KMET 94.7, the Mighty Met back in Los Angeles. And I got to get into television production at Pasadena City College, and then it transferred there to get a film degree at my old alma mater, Cal State Northridge, go Matadors. So that's how everything pretty much started.
So you also, like you said, got into content creating. You have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
But I wanted to talk to you today about one of your passions. You got into the low riding culture a little later in life.
I
Because
did.
that is one of your passions. You work
Yes.
in the entertainment industry, and one of your passions is covering the low riding culture. So
Oh,
tell
it's
us how that happened.
Well, actually, during one of the shows that I worked on, Becker was Ted Danson after Cheers was done at Paramount. There was a gentleman, Michael, who came up with the concept, and it was I think it was called Motorhead, not to be confused with the heavy metal band, but it was kind of like about cars.
Low Riding Archives. The way that Low Riding Archives started is back in the year 2000. I worked for a TV show entitled Rolling Art. The premise of Rolling Art was taking a look at the motorized vehicle as an art form, which I thought was a real interesting concept. So we went to different car shows like the Grand National Roadster Show, Concours d'Elegance up at Pebble Beach, the Newport Concours, the Concours on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. We talked to different hot rod customizers like Boyd Coddington, Jesse James, Alex Exidius, and Pete Shaporis from SoCal Speed Shop, and Larry Watson, the one and only Larry Watson. So it was really cool to be able to do that. Once we got fat with classics, customs, and hot rods, the producers and I thought it would be a really good idea to start diversifying and getting into low riding. So they handed that responsibility on my shoulders, and I gladly took the bull by the horns.
So actually, I kind of thought about it, regrouped, and said, all right, I'm going to go ahead and pick up some publications. Lowrider, Street Low, Impala's Magazine, and then there was a publication called, I think it was Lowriders, R-I-D-A-Z, where there was an expose on the Tovar family, Eddie Paul, Michael, and Donald. Michael Tovar is part of the Tovar family. They're a family of 4 brothers, and they have children that have passed that tradition on. Daniel Tovar has a wonderful Harley Davidson motorcycle. He's got cars. There are patinas. There are all these, the next generations are basically customizing and carrying that tradition on, building, putting lowrider cars on display at super shows like Lowrider, Original Lowrider, and Impala's Magazine. They all have different shows. Torres Empire, all these different promoters have car shows throughout the country, and the Tovar family are one of the marquee families within the lowrider car culture.
And tell me about the low riding culture and how it spread. Was it, of course, through them, but there was also car clubs.
Yes.
Did that also help populate that culture?
Absolutely. There's a plethora of car clubs in Northern California, Southern California. So there's some debate as to where the cruising came. That's still debatable, but where I believe the culture started in lowriding was, I think, the barrios of East Los Angeles. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's where it started in the late 30s, early 40s. And people were, the mother of invention is necessity. And, these rich white guys had all these Fords with their AC Cobras and their Shelbys and all that stuff. But the Chicano population had to figure out, they had hand-me-down cars, and the black population as well. They basically were given what was handed to them, and they had to figure stuff out, like hydraulics, like upholstery, like, cutting the springs, all that stuff. They actually came up with it on their own, in their own creative mind. So it's fascinating.
Isn't their motto slow and low?
Low and slow, yeah.
The hot rods, which are high and
fast, furious, hot rod, yeah. So you have your hot rods that are raked like this, to go fast, but the low riders are low and slow. They cruise. They don't have to prove anything. They're pretty much cool.
Tell me about the clubs, the car clubs.
Car clubs, basically show off their cars, but there's a lot of community events as well. They do a lot of charities for like Toys for Tots, or you know, after basically giving school, backpacks, just whatever. There's tons of different community events that the lowrider car culture and car clubs are involved with. So it's a very positive thing. And when a lot of people that don't really know about the culture hear the word lowrider, it's a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, gangs on wheels. They kind of have this perception of, it's basically like a 1970s, what is it? It's like an old perception of what really isn't true anymore.
Can you give me some names of the lowriders, the lowriding car clubs?
Oh yeah, well, we have the Dukes that started in 1962. I think that was one of the oldest car clubs. We have Viejitos, Old Memories. We have the Tow Bars. We have Majestics, Professionals, Watt's Finest. Then we have Ruthless Riders. We have Nocturnal, Noktur, Nocturnal with a K. It's a beautiful logo of this wolf howling at the moon. And those guys aren't really like the traditional bombs or Impalas. They have stuff like Escalades and Chrysler 300s. They kind of innovated. They're still lowrider clubs, but they have more modern cars. And the stuff that they come out with is absolutely amazing. Nocturnal. Yeah, they're a different car club, but they're still part of the lowrider culture. But it's not.
Tell me about what is a classic lowrider? Because even though this started in the 1950s, some of the cars, the more coveted cars, the more classic cars, are rooted in old cars. You have the Bogs, you have the Impalas. Tell us about what kind of car would be considered a real lowrider car.
I've seen different cars that, you have typically your Chevrolets, your 39, the bomb. The typical 39 Chevy is absolutely quintessential as the bomb. But then you have, the Impala 58 is the first year Impala. You have your 64s, which is the iconic year. I love the 65 because my dad used to have yellow hardtop 283, and he basically, that's what he had. So, but there are other things like Pontiacs, Buicks, old bombs, so there are a wide variety of different types of, Chevrolet cars, even Fords.
There is an iconic car, so iconic that it is now featured at the Peterson Automotive Museum.
Correct. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the Gypsy Rose.
So the Gypsy Rose was conceived by one Jesse Valadez Sr. from the Imperial Car Club. And there are 3 iterations of the Gypsy Rose, Bell. I'm not sure if a lot of people know that, but there are 2 1963 Impalas and 1 1964. The first 63 was a peach color that had, I believe, the rear window etched in paint or whatever that said Gypsy Rose. The second Gypsy Rose was painted by Walt Prey, and that's not the iconic Gypsy Rose that everybody knows from Chico and the Man.
With Jesse Valadez, and he has an iconic car, and we're going to let him talk about the Gypsy Rose. Jesse, much congratulations to you on your award for the Hall of Fame. Can you let us know how the people with Chico and the Man tracked your car down?
Well, it was discovered by, I guess I would say, my sister-in-law, that they gave me a chance to be on the program Chico and the Man, and that's when they called the world's famous lowrider. Because I flew all over the States, and then it came out all over the world.
The second Gypsy Rose was actually in a quote-unquote unfortunate accident. It was a bumper jacked at a party in La Habra. So after Jesse found out that all the Imperialist Car Club members were safe, he looked at the damage. It was really bad, and he decided to not rest on his laurels. He went ahead and got a 64 Impala, and that's the iconic car that was painted by Walt Prey and Don Heckman. A lot of people don't know that Don Heckman helped paint that car. And that's the car that everybody knows from Chico and the Man, and is the most famous lowrider in history. So yes.
Wow, what great history.
You really?
Now let's move wider, because the lowriding culture is not only a Los Angeles, event or a Los Angeles culture.
Right.
It is now gone out internationally, and one of the biggest car club cultures is in Japan.
Takashi Kikuchi is the benchmark of bridging the gap between United States lowrider and Japanese lowrider culture. He's the man that actually worked for Lowrider Magazine, United States and Japan as a photographer, editor, and doing import-export for the Japanese market from the United States to Japan.
Hey cyberscrapers, Mark Aragon with LowRidingTV.com, and today I am honored because we're introducing our newest member to the team. He is contributing editor, writer, and photographer for both Lowrider Magazine Japan and US, and in my opinion, is responsible for bridging the East meets West lowriding car culture. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Takashi Kikuchi. Takashi, come on in. Welcome to the team. Thanks for participating with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
For those people that don't know anything about you or don't know much about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, no. I can say that I'm like a Lowrider enthusiast or Lowrider fan. Also, I'm working with the magazine side as photographer, writer, editor, and all that. And also the building, buying, selling Lowrider, especially to the Japanese market.
When did you get hooked into the lowrider culture?
Make the long story short, I was growing up under the American culture influence, big time. And also I love the car. That's the longest I can remember. Then when I met the lowriding culture, I got the Lowrider magazine, what was imported to Japan when I was in Japan back in like 87, I think. Was like this shock. It was like, oh, this is it, this is cool. Then changed my life. Then make me want to come to LA, see what's real. Then I stay here.
So we're here in Whittier, California at Igarashi Yasu's shop representing Southside Car Club. Any cars that we actually are going to be featured today to see?
Yeah, you can see some cars, especially like Igarashi building his car right now, 60 Impala convertible.
So he's very instrumental in helping perpetuate the culture in Japan. I think he started, it might have been the mid 80s. I'm not really sure exactly what time, but when he picked up when he picked up an issue of Lowrider magazine, he was shocked. It was basically, how do I get involved with this culture? So I interviewed him, and he talked about it, and it was love at first sight from then on. And he goes back and forth, 4 or 5 times a year, and he is the man when it comes to lowrider car culture. If you want to know anything about Japanese lowrider culture, he's pretty much your main source for it.
And now let's move on to something else you're passionate about. You are doing events, and they center around the lowriding culture. One of them is about a movie premiere that you're doing, and it's for Boulevard Nights.
What's up, everybody? Park here. It's the 45th anniversary of the release of Boulevard Nights. That's why it's so crazy out here, but it's awesome. Come join us if you can. If not, I'll bring it to you. All right, folks, let's jump in. Back at the Huggy Boy Theater, folks. Oh yeah, that's where it used to happen down here. The Huggy Boy Show.
The reason I picked Boulevard Nights is more appropriately, it's the 45th anniversary in the year 2024 of the movie. It was released in March of 1979, and it features East Los Angeles in its full glory. It features Whittier Boulevard. It features the Imperial's Car Club. It features Richard Iniguez and Danny De La Paz and Betty Carvalho. And it's just an iconic movie for the lowrider culture because you see all these beautiful cars and all these beautiful people on the silver screen in 1979. I mean, what more could you ask for? Like, wow, we have arrived. That's how the sentiment was, and it's still very popular. And I actually went to the Gardena Cinema just to watch a movie, and I popped off an interview with Judy Kim, the owner of the cinema. And after me popping off an interview, asking her about the history of the cinema, I said, can we do some kind of collaboration? She said, what you got in mind? I said, how about the movie stream? What movie? Boulevard Nights. Yeah, I can get a movie. I can get a copy of that. She said, so that's how the ball got rolling on that.
Whittier Boulevard started in the 60s. where all the lowrider cars would cruise down like about 2 or 3 miles, very slow and low. And people would, it was a gathering place. Tell us a little bit about that vibe.
Yeah, I know that I'm pretty sure I was only in that culture for a couple years. I had a friend pony that had an 87 Cutlass Supreme, a blue with a blue Landau top. Jerry and Kiki and Pony and I would cruise a few times, and it was packed on a Saturday night. It was absolutely amazing. The energy, unprecedented. It's really, really fun. So I know that some of the clubs, like the Imperials, would hang out at a certain place.
Waste your time. Más firme.
Maybe the Pep Boys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but and then the Dukes would hang out. Everybody had their little places, like at a liquor store or at a gas station. So yeah, every club pretty much had their places to hang.
And that was to show off their car. So like once they drove down the boulevard, and like you said, they had their little place, and then that's when they would show off their car. But how they showed it off is the hydraulics, right?
Correct. It's kind of like
called?
Pardon me?
What is that called when they bump up the hydraulics and go up, bounce up and down?
Yeah, they're just calling it hitting the switch. Hit that switch, man. To see if those hyenas can take a look at it. It's kind of like a beautiful bird that has his chest with beautiful colors trying to attract the woman. That's kind of how things go when you're hitting the switches or trying to get a hold of the rucas and stuff, and the girls are looking back. It's that kind of mentality.
So the low riding culture has these men spending a lot of money, to buy the classic cars and to work on them and to give them these wonderful paint jobs and a lot of art on them, and the tires and the hydraulics.
Yeah.
This is such an experience.
It is. And in fact, you can check out that experience at the Peterson Automotive Museum now until, I believe, April of next year. There's a lowrider exhibit called Best in Low, Lowrider Icons of the Street and Show. And it's basically lowriders that are on display, including the Gypsy Rose and 3 little model scale cars. And a couple of cars from Japan are there as well. So check it out on display at the Peterson Automotive Museum, Best in Low, until April next year.
Wow, I gotta go back to the Peterson. I've been there and it's amazing. So I have to go and check out. I didn't know they had the exhibit. We thank you so much for coming and sharing that experience with us.
It was my pleasure, Bel. Thank you for having me.
What a ride. Thank you for that insight, Mark. And don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As you can see, the popularity of the car clubs and the lowriding culture has had a far-reaching effect. It started out as Mexican-American youth customizing vintage cars and cruising down the now famous 2-mile stretch of Whittier Boulevard in East Los Angeles. A stream of slow cruising cars could be seen parading down the street in their full glory. As Wikipedia notes, the purpose of lowriders, as their motto, low and slow, suggests, is to cruise as slowly and as smoothly as possible. The lowriding phenomenon has become so iconic it is now part of American pop culture. These unique cars are now on exhibit at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. There you can see the most iconic lowrider ever built, the Gypsy Rose, a 1964 Chevrolet Impala owned by Jesse Valadez. Wikipedia goes on to note that the lifestyle has been featured in songs like the 1975 song Lowrider by the band War. It highlights the culture, and it reached number 7 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart.
All my friends tell the lowrider. The lowriders just a little higher. Low rider, drives a little slower. Low rider, so little cover.
In the 1990s, lowriders became strongly associated with West Coast hip hop and G-funk culture. Seems like most everyone could use a lowrider in their life. And that is our show for today. Thank you for watching. Join us next week for some Insight by Bel.
Great.